If anyone says they're a photographer and they come to you with an iPhone, get them out. So make sure that the image quality is just great and also it's consistent.
What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Clever Genius Podcast. Really, the mission here is want to put you in front of some experts in the industry so that you can get some inspiration, more importantly, steal some ideas so you can implement it into your real estate business. And today I have a very special guest, a really, really awesome person. Her name is Rachel. She's from a company called Virtuance. She is the community and content marketing manager over there. And a little bit about the company Virtuance. They primarily focus on real estate photography, visual marketing, directly, specifically niche down to the real estate industry. So if you're watching this because you likely are a real estate agent, this is going to be super valuable to you. They've been around for well over a decade now, established in 2010. Hey, Rachel, did I miss anything? And thank you for doing this.
No, I think you just about got everything. Yeah, we're a photography and visual marketing company, and we ultimately are just striving day in and day out to help real estate professionals improve their listing marketing, which ultimately then improves their brand and their business. So yeah, you covered it all.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. Good job. Look, I wanted to have you on because I've been getting a lot of questions, specifically about real estate photography and the DIY strategy, or maybe a done for you strategy, like obviously hiring you guys to come in and do some photography and marketing and making marketing components. So I wanted to just spend a couple minutes with you and unpack some common questions and some mindset stuff as it pertains to photography. And I want to start off by asking the elephant in the room question, because I took a poll of all of my clients and this was the one that rose to the top. They wanted to know from a professional photographer, what are your thoughts on shooting a property on an iPhone or a smartphone? So let's start with that. Something easy. What do you think?
Yeah, you're laying it all out on the line right here, right now in the beginning. So though using an iPhone seems like the most convenient way for a real estate professional to get their photography done for their listing, it's really not the best option or even just the most suitable option for your business. And I think we can kind of scroll back on that a little bit and just understand that photography is really considered an art form, much more than just pointing out and shooting at something with your iPhone, right? It really is an art. It's a skill that you need to develop and hone in on to make sure that those pictures over the end are really of high quality, especially when we talk about trying to attract attention to all of the different buyers and sellers that are out there. So really hiring a certified real estate photographer means that you're ultimately just working with someone who has invested in themselves. They've invested in the equipment. They've invested in their skills that are necessary to shoot really high quality photos, particularly of properties themselves. So though I understand, I get it. It's so easy to pull out that iPhone. And yes, they've really improved the quality of their lens. Nothing is going to beat someone who is truly skilled at real estate photography and also has just the appropriate equipment. Regardless, a professional DSLR camera is going to be a lot higher quality than an iPhone.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And I know there's plenty of memes or there's plenty of Facebook groups too of like really bad photography done by real estate agents and their smartphone. Like it's like a picture of them in a bathroom and you can clearly see them like holding up the camera and taking the photo. It doesn't look very appealing if you're looking to purchase a home for a couple $100,000. So if that's the case, can you then maybe unpack a little bit more the importance of taking high quality photography for listings? Like how does a high quality photo impact getting more for your listing versus just a generic old photographer for picture from maybe not the best highest quality photographer?
Absolutely. No, that's a great question. Well, let's just start with the fact that at this point in the real estate industry, having professional photography is not a option. It really is an expectation when you talk about selling your listing. So we had a 2023 real estate marketing trends report that we conducted. We surveyed over 400 real estate professionals just on the different marketing tactics they're using and where they want to improve. And we ultimately found from that research that 95% of real estate professionals are using high quality professional real estate photography. So ultimately, what that tells us to let all of the real estate professionals listening to this is that if you're not adopting into professional photography at this point, you are really falling behind on just being updated with what the industry expectation is. So that's, I think, something to really just keep in mind first and foremost when we talk about the importance of high quality photography. Another aspect to that, though, is just think about how having that professional photography or hiring someone that's certified in professional photography really just helps you to save both your own time and also your money at the end of the day. So I cannot stress this enough. But high quality photography really requires skill, right? And like I mentioned previously, our photographers have really just taken the time to invest in themselves and invest in that skill set and their knowledge on just how to compose a photo, how to capture a listing in the best light, how to capture and highlight specific features. And that's not something that just happens overnight. So when we talk about saving you time and money, ultimately what we're saying is we've already done a lot of the investment. Our photographers have all of the equipment needed. They've got the skill set, they've got the knowledge, they've got the training. So you don't have to spend time taking those photos. You're already
Oh
balancing
yeah.
as a real estate professional 5,000 different hats, right? You're a marketer, you're a customer service representative, right? You're a business owner, you're doing all these different things already. So let a professional photographer take something off your hands. You'll find that that's really just going to help you overall with your business. Plus, when we talk about it from the money aspect, again, you're not investing in that equipment yourself. There's those
Oh
professional
yeah.
photographers or the ones that are certified for real estate photography. They've invested in all the equipment that they need to appropriately and best capture your listing in the best light possible. So it really can just help you and your business itself.
I'm honestly thinking of like how many times I've heard oh, I just watched the YouTube video that taught me how to do this. Yeah, it kind of doesn't apply for this one.
Yeah, well, and even just think about it from the aspect too of like, I can go in and I can use my iPhone and take the pictures of my photo, but do I really understand one, what I'm capturing and how I'm capturing it? And two, have I thought about the fact that I need to edit these photos afterwards? I mean, there's multi
Oh yeah.
steps to this process, right? It's not just about anymore. I'm going to go in and I'm going to take the picture so you see that this is the living room. It's no, like you need to make those adjustments that maybe you can't make while you're on your phone. You need to be able to go back and make any of those adjustments. And again, that's why it's so important to have a high quality photographer because they already know how to do all of that. And they also know how to do it efficiently.
Oh, definitely. 100% agree with you there. Plus, they can also batch edit too, and uh, that's a trick of the trade, I think, versus
Yeah.
someone that doesn't really know how to do it too well on their own.
Yeah.
So excellent points. Next big question for you: what is the thought process involved? Like, let's say that we're a real estate agent, or we are, but what is the thought process involved in selecting the right photographer for the job? Because the way I look at it, the requirements and needs of a luxury property over a million is going to be a lot different from a property at like 2 or 300,000. It's also going to be a lot different from like I wouldn't say tear down, but a fixer upper at like 50K. Like, how do you select the right person for the right job?
Yeah. So I think first and foremost here, it's really important to note that regardless of cost of property or even the type of project, it is important to be consistent in your own brand and how you market yourself and how you market
Ooh.
your listings in general. So it's really hard to be like, oh, you know, you should invest in professional photography for a luxury home, but not for one that's maybe a tear down or one for, that's a smaller price point, right? So it's really important to make sure that you maintain that consistency across the board, especially because ultimately at the end of the day, that's going to help you to build your brand and your consistency. And it's going to help build trust in potential clients. Because me as a client, I don't own $1 million home by any means, but I want to make sure that if I'm selling, you as a real estate professional aren't going to dock me for maybe not having a luxury listing and that my marketing doesn't deserve the same marketing that a luxury listing would get. Now, all of that said, it is important to understand the type of property that you're trying to shoot. And it's also important for your photographer themselves to also understand the type of property that needs to be shot. So I think a couple of qualities that kind of go back to that main question of what are those specific factors that really agents should consider when they're looking in or looking for a professional photographer. I think the first one is really just image quality. What are the type of images that they are producing overall? So make sure that you're just reviewing all of their resources, like their online galleries, and you're making sure that essentially they are consistent with their images across the board. Again, you don't want it to look really awesome for one property and then really not awesome for another property. So make sure that
Oh
the
yeah.
image quality is just great and also it's consistent in how they're shooting. So I think another process or element to that then is, what is their experience like? What is it like to order with them? What is that? How long does it take for them to edit the photos? And what's that turnaround time? Are they willing to listen to what you want to capture from the listing, right? All of these things kind of play into it. Just as you would go out and want to make a client, a home seller, feel that same way with you. You want to make sure they have the best experience. You also want to make sure you have the best experience with your photographer. So, what does that overall process really look like from start to finish with them? And really, you can get that from just looking at reviews, right? So if you go on, if they've got a Google page, or even if they're just posting reviews from their social media, or even they're just sending some video testimonials, right? Really take the time to go in and review what people are saying about that person or about that company, right? And then I guess as an add-on, it's not necessarily a requirement, but it's really beneficial. Just look at all of the additional like marketing enhancements that they have. So are they just providing you photography, and you're going to have to go off and do other things with those photos, or have to go off to another third party and get other visual solutions, right? Or do they have marketing enhancements that are built in that are really going to help you to elevate that listing marketing at the end of the day? So again, just kind of look at what are their packages, what are their price points, what are the add-ons that are included, what are you getting with that, what does that overall experience look like? And we just make sure from our end you're getting all of that, just as a plug, right? So again, we make sure that like all of our photographers are trained exactly the same. We understand that as a nationwide professional photography company, it's really important that we can provide you with the consistency of working with one solo individual. So all of that said, we really take a lot of those considerations into process ourselves, even though we have a nationwide network of photographers. So we try to give you a really easy, streamlined process. You can come to us for all of your visual solutions, photography, 3D tours, floor plans. And at the end of the day, our image quality is really fantastic because we ultimately use what's called HD Real, which is our proprietary imaging system. So we spent 2.5 years researching buyer psychology and really researching what buyers are actually looking at when they're looking through a series of online photos. And then we created HD Reel based off of that to make sure that the photos you're getting from us are actually going to drive more attention.
Ooh, that's good. I love it. I love it. And it's also a big help that you actually invested in developing better technology as opposed
Mhm.
to whatever an iPhone can provide.
Yeah, well, and
um,
ultimately that helps us be
yeah,
efficient, right? So, I mean, that's not to
exactly.
say we don't get eyeballs looking at your photos. We absolutely do. Kind of what that process looks like is our photographers, they go out, they capture these beautiful listings, they come back, those images go through our HD Real image processing system, and then at the end, still before the images are delivered to you, we make sure that our quality assurance team is going through and ensuring that the images actually have the appropriate adjustments, nothing looks weird or wonky. So we're really just trying to make that a great process for everyone, so that again, at the end of the day, you're getting quality photography that is proven to drive more attention.
I love it. I love it. Well, that actually brings me to the next big question I have for you because you're talking about like wonky things. Let's talk blind sides real quick. Like you even mentioned it earlier about packages and finding the right person to provide a bunch of different packages for solutions for you. I'm wondering, in your opinion, what kind of advice would you give a newer agent that's looking to like hire a photographer for their listing? Like, what are the common mistakes or the common blind spots that they just may not be privy to just because they're still kind of green in the game?
So I guess the first thing is one thing that we really touched on in the beginning, and that's doing your own
Yeah,
kind of DIY listing photos.
yeah.
I don't recommend taking
Fair
photos
enough. Fair
yourself.
enough.
And I get it, right? You're a new agent. You don't really have a ton of money to invest or spend. I understand, but I think at the end of the day, you really have to think of photography as an actual investment into not only the property you're trying to sell, but also into your business. So if you spend that up front as, again, that investment piece, you're going to see an amazing return. You're going to see your listing sell higher, faster. You're going to see that you're starting to build that consistency in your brand that you can then showcase to any potential clients. So I think that's kind of the first blind side is how can we ultimately rewire that thought process of this isn't an expense, this is an investment that I'm going to get back at some point. So that's kind of the first thing I think that's really important to just draw out from
Oh,
that question
100%.
of what are those common mistakes, right? Or that those
Yeah.
oversights that professionals may make. I think when we
And
talk
by
about
the way, just quick
photography,
side note, I
yeah.
just sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. I just love what you're talking about for the branding standpoint because it's so
Mhm.
imperative that the brand looks consistent across like all listings. All
Right.
right. Anyways, I've seen it enough. I know about it enough. Like, yeah, you want to make sure everything looks good across the board, whether it's a listing that you have now or a listing from like 2 or 3 years ago.
Right. Well, even
Anyway,
just
I
tie that into
digress. Keep
like
going.
tie that even into your social marketing, right? Like the marketing you use to market yourself as a business. If I go on and I
Yeah.
see that you are so inconsistent with the quality you're providing or the information you're providing and you're here and then there, I'm not going to have a lot of confidence in you to effectively market my listing if you can't effectively market yourself. So think of
Ooh.
it that same way, right? You're not just investing again when we talk about that investment piece, you're not investing anymore just into a sole listing. You are actually investing
Yeah.
into your business, especially as a new agent. It is so crucial to get started on a right foot, right? So you want to make sure that you are taking the time to really just build out that foundation of what your business is going to look like. And part of that is your professional photography and how you choose to market your listings.
Oh, I dig it. I dig it. Let me pivot now
Okay.
to like strategy, if that's all right.
Yeah, sure.
I have a listing. I'll give you the scenario. I have a listing and I obviously need to market it. I'm going to bring in a photographer. Two-part question. Number one, how do I prep the property to get it ready for the photographer so it'll just be as streamlined as possible? And question number two, what is my expectation for deliverables once the photography is like, or once these photos have been shot?
Yeah, so great questions. I can't emphasize enough when we talk about the preparing for a property for a shoot. That was actually a second point I was going to bring up just from your previous question
Yeah.
when we talk about those common
Mhm.
mistakes of one of the mistakes is you just aren't appropriately preparing your property to be shot. So this is a fantastic
Yeah.
transition. So when we talk about preparing the property, I think it's really important to just kind of simplify everything because, of course, there's a lot of little tasks you can do to make sure that that property is ready to go for the photo shoot. But ultimately, you want to make sure that it's obviously cleaned up, right? We don't
Mhm.
take some time and just make sure the exterior is nice, the garden is nice, right? That's someone's first view of the home. Take time to make sure that that exterior looks really cleaned up. That also involves removing things like get the trash cans out of the front of the yard. I know it was trash day, but let's clear those out. Or even just something as simple as removing cars from the driveway. That's huge. That's something we see a lot is there's cars in the driveway. And although initially it doesn't seem like something that's big that is that large of an issue, but you have to think about it from a buyer's side, right? If I come in and it looks like someone else is inhabiting this home that I potentially want to build a life in, I'm not going to have that connection knowing I've got the owner's car in the front and all of their personal pictures throughout the home. And then I see their pile of laundry in the laundry room. So really think about it from that buyer's perspective and what you would want to see as a buyer when you're entering and walking through a home. So clean up the outside, make sure it's all clear, kind of remove those personal items. But when we talk about the inside again, it's just making sure that you clear out the clutter. I know a lot of times people have all of their like photos of their family and their dogs and the dog beds are all over. Love it. I love that you've lived your life to the fullest there, but also take some time to make sure that it is a cleaned up space so that it's a fresh perspective on someone walking in. So clean out the clutter, actually clean, make sure it doesn't feel dirty, right? And those seem
Yeah.
pretty basic, but I think they're really important. And add in things that really just maybe add an element of wow to it, like bring in some fresh flowers. I don't know, bring in some freshly baked cookies, right? Show that like you can actually capture the space even though someone may be living there, but you can capture it in a way that it still is inviting for someone new who's coming in. Because ultimately, too, you got to think of these photos are the very first impression they're going to have because everyone, I think 96% of home buyers are looking online nowadays.
Oh yeah.
So keep that in mind. Your photos are that very first piece to even get someone through the door. So you want to make sure that the house is clean enough to do an open house for, right? clean out the clutter, make sure it's clean. If you're staging, don't stage according to your own personal style and preferences. Stage something that's just very simple that fills out the space, because ultimately, again, you're trying to just showcase how furniture can be displayed. And there's a whole other slew of things on how you can best prepare and equip the property. Just to bring up as a resource, we do have actually a free pre-shoot checklist on our website under our resources
Oh,
section.
perfect. That's awesome.
It goes
By the way,
through
if you can,
literally everything.
I was gonna say, if you can send that to me, I'll be happy to put it in the description for the video too. So yeah, people get access
Absolutely.
to it too.
We always say,
Cool.
use this pre-shoot checklist and call us the bad guy, because I know it can be really difficult to tell someone to clear out all their junk or to just clear out personal things like photos and all of that
Yeah.
stuff. So we're always use us as the bad guy. Say our photographer would like us to go through this checklist and make sure that we're checking everything off before they come and shoot the property. We're happy to do that for you if that means you're going to have really awesome images at the end of the day.
Photography. It just it reminds me. And the funny part is, I've not only seen this photo once. I've seen it at multiple properties where it's just like they didn't do a good job of cleaning, and then they'll take a picture of the bathroom, and then you'll see someone's dirty underwear on the toilet seat. It's just, yeah, no one's gonna want to buy that.
Yeah.
All right, second part of that question, the deliverables. What is expected of a photographer to be able to deliver to you after the photos are ready? Because at the end of the day, I'm taking photos. That's not it. There's more to this. So what is the more to this?
Yeah, so when we kind of talk about after the shoot specifically, I
Yeah.
think again, if you're looking for a photographer or even just our process itself, what are they doing to really improve even more so on the quality of those images? So previously we talked about room composition is really important and really capturing the appropriate angles to best display a space. But the second element to that is what adjustments do you need to make to the photo itself to ensure that it is going to capture attention? And that could be things like adjusting white balance, adjusting exposure, clarity in the windows, right? You'll see photos all the time from iPhones where you can't see anything through the windows and they look really foggy, right? Are they clearing those up for you so I can see when I'm standing in the dining room through the sliding doors, there's a beautiful patio outside, right? You want to make sure you're displaying all of those connections. And a lot of that comes into that through the editing process. So really, again, I think that goes back to one of your initial questions about how do you find a photographer? What do you ask them? Make sure you fully understand what their process looks like. So again, for us, what I talked about previously is we best equip our photographers themselves to capture your listing based on their knowledge, how they can compose a room to get the best image to start with. We move it through HD Reel, which automatically makes all of those appropriate adjustments. Like I said, saturation, exposure, clarity, contrast, white balance, any perspective correction that needs to happen, right? So all of those are being done through HD Reel. And then we're taking it a step further and saying, we believe in our HD Reel system, we know it's high quality, but just to make sure every image comes out perfect and is a great photo that's going to capture someone's attention, we're going to have our quality assurance team take a double, triple check on it to make sure that before we deliver those images to you, we can actually ensure that they are of quality. Now, all of that said, that is a lot. That's a long process, right? So I think it is important when we talk about deliverables at the end of the day, what is that turnaround time? What does that look like? For us, if I shot your property today, you're going to get your images by 5 p.m. the next day. So it is kind of a whole process you really need to think on when we talk about photography and what is that deliverable at the end of the day? How am I getting it? For us, what is our delivery system? Are you just getting an email with all of your photos? You'll get an email letting you know they're ready, but we actually developed our own marketing suite where you can go in and download all of your photos in a web-sized format, a format for your MLS specifically, because no one wants to be
Nice.
resizing images after you get it, right? I've tried to resize images before. It's a nightmare. You can download in print quality, but we try to give you, again, that all-in-one system so that you can download any photo you would need of the photos that you purchase through us.
Oh, love it, love it. This also kind of brings up the other topic of video, 3D photography, and things like that. That's kind of like a separate thing, because I think most agents, I know a lot of agents that are like, oh, you're going to do photography. Well, I also want a website, and I also want 3D tour. I want a virtual tour that I can put up on YouTube and whatever else. That's not that's not included. That's like an a la carte thing. Or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So those are all really important because especially when we talk about, like I said previously, 96% of home buyers are searching online nowadays. And that's even to just get them through the door. Not only are professional photos an expectation for your listing marketing, But now you have to start thinking, okay, well, 95% of professionals are using professional photos. So how am I going to take
Yeah.
that and then also stand out from that? And I think that's where, this immersive experience really comes into play when we talk about floor plans and 3D tours and aerial photography and video is ultimately what
Oh,
you're trying to
dude.
do is showcase the property in full, totally how it would be if they were there in person, right? Because if I see that you've spent the time investing in all of those pieces and really giving me that quality experience simply by looking at the listing online, heck yeah, I'm going to want to see it in person and experience it for myself, right? So really think of those 3D tours as, yes, they are in a sense a la carte, and if you go with a solo photographer, they may not offer those. So that is something to keep in the back of your mind, is genuinely how do you want to market your listing? If you just want to use photos, you'll be good with a professional photographer, but I would really look for someone who's in that all-encompassing visual solution, right? So I know I touch back on us, but like we have all of that. So we want to make sure
Yeah.
you're not going to 500 different vendors for all of your visual marketing needs to make sure that your listing is gaining the traction that it deserves. We're trying to make that process really easy and streamlined for you. So through Virtuance, you can get not only our HD roll images, but you're going to get 3D tours and floor plans and aerial photography and video. And then we also have add-ons and enhancements, like we've got what we call Blue Sky Guarantee. We call it internally as our weather insurance program, but you know how sometimes it can be like a really gross, cloudy
Yeah.
day outside.
Ugly day. Yeah.
Um, so what we do is we
Mhm.
put in a beautiful natural blue looking sky on the exterior of your images to make sure that, again, we're doing what we can to make sure that your images are drawing that attention that they deserve. So when we talk about the 3D tours and the floor plans and all those other things that build into that immersive experience, I really would lean towards at some point down the line that will be an expectation, same as how photos are an expectation now. So how can you start bringing in those elements to your property and to your listing marketing now, so that when everyone else is scurrying trying to hop on board the train, you're already well on your way.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And I'm just thinking about real world solutions for being the full service visual marketing for a listing. Like as you alluded to, the drone footage, the 3D tours. I'm even thinking now. I know it's actually, I'm kind of curious your thoughts on this. Part of the whole process is doing Facebook advertising. There's a whole other component about the marketing that is also included, but not really. It's like the unwritten word, like, hey, you better be putting together some marketing for some paid ads.
Yeah.
That's also included in kind of like the service as well, right? Or should be
Yeah.
included, I should say.
So think of we have a social media package, and also too through
Mhm.
our Virtuance marketing suite. Like I said, that marketing suite is our all-in-one content, or our all-in-one
Yeah.
marketing system, and also our content delivery system. So regardless of if you get photos or 3D tours or videos, it's all going to be delivered through that marketing suite. And then on that note, the marketing suite has built-in integrations, so you can actually connect it with your Facebook and with your Twitter, or directly through your email or LinkedIn or whatever, so that you can actually send that listing directly to your social channels. But on the
Wow.
topic of social media, because I think it's just really important in general to talk about, I understand social media is a beast, right? It can be a lot, and it can be a lot to take on, especially again as we talked about. You're wearing all these different kinds of hats, but it's so important when it comes to your marketing. Like I said previously, I think 5 other times, everyone's online. And now you
Yeah.
have to really think about the cohort of individuals who are starting to buy homes, and that's millennials. And millennials are on social media. And so to get to them, you also need to be on social media to make sure that your marketing is actually effective. So those are just some items to keep in mind when we really talk about social media and how it can help you boost your listing marketing. Think of it as just a channel to get those out. You want to get your listing on Zillow and Redfin and all of these other places. Well, social media is now, you got to start lumping all of those different platforms into it as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. The Facebooks, the Instagrams, the TikToks, the YouTube Shorts, the whole nine. Well,
Yeah.
this has been really awesome hanging with you, Rachel. I have one more question for you, and then I'll let you go, and hopefully we can do this again soon
Yeah.
for a whole other topic. But all right, here's my question, and I need some clickbait. So I want you to like handcuffs are off, gloves are off.
Oh
You
gosh.
don't have to name names unless you want to. Give me some red flags about hiring a horrible photographer.
Okay. So
Yeah.
one, they obviously come to you with the wrong equipment. If anyone says they're a photographer and they come to you with an iPhone, red flag for sure. Like I said, phones have got incredible cameras on them, but nothing is going to compare to the actual equipment that's needed for real estate photography. So make sure that they've got the best equipment. And if they don't, red flag number one, really discuss their editing process, right? If it's going to take them 2 weeks to get you your photos back, not enough time, especially when we talk about real estate. That's a churn and burn. We're in a churn and burn type of industry.
Yeah.
And then also too, I think the best part of photographers who are trained in real estate is that they, again, know how to compose a room. They know how to maybe provide different suggestions on how to make something look better. If you're noticing in their photos that like that stuff isn't being cleared out, or again, they're capturing the wrong angles, get them out. So I guess a really good example that I like to give when we talk about someone who's a professional photographer versus a non-professional photographer. I know we've seen iPhones, like pictures with iPhones. I always get a kick out of people who are like taking a picture of the bathroom and they're like honed in on the toilet. You're trying to sell an entire space. I'm not selling someone's stuff, right? So as a photographers, like who are professionally trained, they understand you're selling the room as a whole and not an individual item. So all the time you'll see people who have, where you can tell they don't have professional photography, is it's because the frame of the photo is like zoomed in on the toilet, or like they go to the bedroom and it's just the bed. It's like, you're not selling your stuff. This is a garage sale.
Oh, that's too good. That's way too good, because I know exactly what you're talking about, and I've seen way too many listings just like that.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't even know how large this room is, but I can tell you've got, a good quality toilet, I think.
Yeah. Or you got a queen size bed and it looks like it needs to be replaced pretty soon. Oh, I love it. Hey, Rachel, I'm going to take us to the finish line now. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It was truly valuable to have you join me for this. Real quick, where can people get a hold of you if they have questions?
Yeah, so specifically for Virtuance, please follow us on all of our social channels. Instagram is Virtuance_photography. You can find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, just at Virtuance. So always reach out. I run all of our social channels. So if you're reaching out that way, I'll be sure to follow up with you. So I would say those are the best ways to reach out to us as a company as a whole. And then additionally, if you've got any questions just regarding our products, our services, please feel free to reach out to us at info@virtuance.com. And our client success team is so incredible and awesome and eager to answer any questions you have. So be sure to hit them up and ask them anything.
All right, love it. And so I'll drop all the links in the description, as well as that checklist that you referred to. I'm not going to put the email because I care about you guys and I don't want you to get spam. All right. Thanks for hanging out. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this little session. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.
Thank you.